What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Nick Underhill, neworleans.football is the site, y'all. You already know I've been a proud NOF subscriber for 3-4 years. I mean, I guess however long the site's been out. And the analysis you get is unparalleled. And it's only getting better. Big things on the way in 2024 here for our NOF boys. And whether it's Nick, Tripp, Brooke, they do the best work when it comes to New Orleans Saints. Nick, what's up, man? Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Thank you for showing up last week, even though we forgot to tell you that we were actually off.
I was in the waiting room, man. Yeah, but look, normally I'm the one that's like late, so I was do that. Like it was some nice punishment to kind of show up to the school. Nobody was at school that day, so I kind of needed it. But yeah, man. Happy New Year to all you guys. Hope you had a great Christmas, all that stuff.
So here we arrive, and the roller coaster continues for this New Orleans Saints team, right? I mean, again, it's just so hard to parse how you should feel about this team, how you should feel about wins. I think I've arrived at a place where I would like to see change no matter what, but at the same time, I don't want them to lose to the Falcons. I want them to go beat Atlanta in this final week, right? And I don't really care about overall record. Like, if you've already missed the opportunity to maybe get the draft pick you were looking for, then yes, finishing with a winning record, beating Atlanta, maybe making the playoffs. We'll see, whatever that would work out. That's all well and good, but like, I don't know. It felt kind of good to watch the Saints kick Baker Mayfield in the Bucs' ass on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll say this as far as like change goes. This game, it doesn't matter. Like they could lose. It doesn't matter. I mean, they would have to lose in like insane fashion for it to be part of the evaluation of Dennis Allen. He's going to be the coach.
Already made.
I don't know that it's already made, but I mean, I feel strongly that. I don't know how to say this, but like just based on what I know, I feel strongly that he's not going to lose his job.
So what if they had lost? And I know I'm getting into hypotheticals here. What if they had lost these last two? Like, was it on the table before Sunday's win?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get into hypothetical. Mickey Loomis doesn't like to. You know, he said that in his interview, and it pisses everyone off every week.
That question that when my dad asked about quarterback, it's such an easy answer. Just say, yeah, we explore all options. But to get so defensive and weird, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. But look, I think they would have had to lose in 50-3, everybody quitting type of fashion for change to be made heading into these last two. Heading into this game, I got, a stream on my page where, I'm looking at the camera and telling everybody that DA is going to be the coach next year. So like, get ready for it. Like, it's just, I think they feel okay about where they're at now. I do think that there are going to be changes moving forward. I would be shocked if you don't see like wholesale changes on the offensive staff, new OC, new coaches. And I think that when they do that, the person's probably not going to have any connections whatsoever to the Sean Payton tree. I think it's going to be, somebody new from the outside. Now, I'll say this, though, like I thought for sure they were going to change the OC last year, and they tried, and they just couldn't get the guys they wanted. So they ran it back with what they had. So I do think, though, that they're going to make changes on that side of the ball. And, I think the direction of the organization is decided kind of right now. Now, like, if you somehow sneak into the playoffs and you win the Super Bowl, are people getting fired? Like, probably not. But I don't think they're getting into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win a playoff game. But, I just think where they're at right now, I think that the course is kind of set. It's going to be new offensive staff. I think they know they need new players, new guys on the edge, tackles on offense. So I think just they kind of know the direction of the team, but I think it's going to be with Dennis Allen at the helm. And we'll see how it goes. I do see a reality where if you get like a great offensive coordinator, maybe you are a decent team, someone that's just kind of, I guess that kind of does for DA what DA did for Sean after years of just disarray on defense and being mediocre. Like if you can get someone that can change it, but like I'm cynical about it though, privately thinking about it.
The last
like,
2 years.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's going to work. There isn't really any reason to believe in that it's going to be drastically different. But they're going to find out. And look, I kind of feel like this is Mickey Loomis making his bet because you've reached this crossroads. And I've constantly said, like, he should be judged on what happens next and where it goes and what they're able to do. He's making the decision not to replace this guy. So
Yeah.
I think now his legacy's decided upon, hey, this is the guy I stuck with. And if it works, Mickey probably eventually, could be in that Hall of Fame discussion, given his credentials, is how many wins he has. He's top 10 all time. If it doesn't, I think it kind of soils everything that kind of already happened before. So it's an interesting place just overall for the whole entire franchise.
The Hall of Fame take is interesting simply because he's also in as untouchable of a position as a GM as any that we've ever seen. So it's almost like unfair in a way to judge him against fellow GMs. Though overall, look, it's been a very successful tenure nonetheless, right? Overall in the whole it has. It's looking a little questionable potentially right now. So in the playoff scenarios, of course, you beat Atlanta, and if Carolina would beat Tampa, you would win the division, correct?
Yeah.
What are the wild card scenarios going into next week?
Hold on, let me pull them up real quick so I don't screw it up. So they need two teams.
Go ahead.
They need two teams to lose, and it is where's it at? Seattle, I think, has to lose, and somebody else.
And Green Bay.
But yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of. Yeah, that's it. And Seattle has to lose to Arizona. So I mean, it's tough to kind of see it going through. Although Arizona did just beat the Eagles, which makes no sense at all. But
the NFL,
dude. Yeah, I mean, look, it's possible, but I mean, there's just like a lot of stuff that has to happen. So I think they just end up, probably coming up short. And it was the same way a few years ago. I remember they closed the season out against Atlanta, and everybody's like, around the TV. And I think they needed the Rams to win against San Fran, and they laid down. And like Mickey Loomis is like cussing at the TV in the back of the press box. And, it's just kind of, I expect a very similar type of scene this week. I just think there's too much, I don't think they deserve to make the playoffs, man. And I hate to say that, everybody, gets mad at me for being negative or whatever, but like, I think it's just the truth. This isn't a playoff team. I don't think they deserve it. And
they haven't beaten any good teams either. Like all their wins are against the relative worst teams in the league.
Absolutely. And it's just like, okay, fine. Finish the season strong, be on a high note, don't make the playoffs, get a better draft pick. And that kind of just feels like the best scenario for the team right now. But like, they don't deserve to be a playoff team this year.
Do you, so it's kind of funny. I was talking about it last night, and this is so long to go. Like, who knows how this is all going to shake out. But I think if you are a fan of an NFL team that perhaps overachieved a little bit this year and you're not drafting quite as high as you wanted, that you were probably pretty excited watching somebody like Michael Penix last night. I know you're constantly evaluating what the quarterbacks, like kind of what scouts are saying about the quarterback hierarchy. Where does Penix fit in? Is he getting first round? Like, is there going to be a run on these guys? Because you're kind of like, I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people talk about maybe like 3 in the top 10. Does that mean that Penix even gets like bumped up a bunch?
I think he's going to be in the conversation somewhere for sure. And he seems like someone that might like rise up even more just through the process as people kind of catch up and start talking about him more. But yeah, look, I thought you looked pretty good. I mean, if I'm the Saints, like I'm trying to get a quarterback, but I'm not the Saints, and I don't know that they're going to try to get a quarterback. I think they feel good about Derek Carr. I think they want to build the structure around him. They look at it like, there's a handful of things that need to be supported. I see you rubbing your face over there. I think that's.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of not definition of insanity, because you're not exactly doing the same thing, but it does have a little bit of like just obstinate, like we have large sample size on these cats, but maybe it'll be different,
They're looking at it like if they get him better protection, better running game, like he can do what he did against the Giants or did last week. And it's just like, well, all right, but like it's probably not going to be that perfect all the time. So what happens in those other games? But I think if you stack the board and there's a D end, a left tackle, and a quarterback all there at say 14 where they're picking, and they're all similar, in grade, I don't have the confidence that they're going quarterback at this point. Just based on what I've heard, like I think they believe that he can play better with a better structure, and they failed him with the structure this year. And I don't know, but I would be targeting the quarterback. I'd probably try to trade up for the quarterback. I might trade one of my veteran players who is maybe a little disgruntled in the system to get another first round pick to trade up with my other first round pick to get the quarterback. Like that's how I would be looking at it, but I don't think they're going to go about it that way.
What and I know this question is complicated and it gets misconstrued by the national media, but when it comes to salary cap, the Saints, have constantly kind of defer and they'll bet on guys that they think are good that are going to stick around, and so these kind of, and with the rising cap, you can kind of eat these payments over time. Will there ever be something like the almost pseudo day of reckoning that they had to deal with when the salary cap fell? Like, will there ever be, because they are getting old, right? Like, does the age of this roster tie kind of into this fiscal strategy?
So, I mean, look, it's to the point where, is it worth it or not? It's not a can or can't they do it thing, because like you can always do it. Like just right here. Okay. So they're 87 million over, and I'm just doing this real quick. Like you can clear more money than I'm about to say, but like just doing basic restructures on everybody's salary. Like if you restructure Lattimore, Ramczyk, Demario Davis, Taysom Hill, Alvin, Eric McCoy, Carl Granderson, Tyron, Caesar, Ruiz, Juwan Johnson, Marcus May, Cam Jordan, and Derek Carr, you can clear about $30 million in cap space. Clear that $87 million deficit and then have $30 million to spend on top of it.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just doing basic restructures. Yeah. I'm not adding void years and all these other tricks they're doing. You could probably stretch that number out to 50. And then you could re-sign Mike Thomas and avoid the $10 million hit in dead money that comes on him. You could re-sign Andrus Peat and avoid the dead money hit that comes on him, and have a ton of money to go out and address your roster. But
Pete's
is it
been a
worth
bright
it?
spot too. Pete should get a little love, dude. I feel like Pete's been solid in a year where I would have never expected that he would have been one of the positive developments on the offensive line.
Yeah, and it's funny because they were trying to get rid of him, and I think you have to bring him back now because you don't have any tackles. And if you come to the offseason with no tackles, they gave him a pay cut and everything, and cut out all the years on his roster. Like, and now they're gonna have to kind of put their tail between their leg a little bit and be like, hey, you want to stick around? But yeah, I mean, look, it's a question of like, should they or shouldn't they? And like, should you restructure Cam Jordan's contract given where he's at in his career? Probably not. Should you restructure Taysom Hill at $10 million base salary? Probably not. You probably need Taysom to take a pay cut, to be honest. But like, the thing is like, yeah, like you end up with these dead money hits on older guys, and it's better to pay them off, obviously, and not have that kind of accounting that you have to do. But like, if you're just pushing a different $30 million ahead, like there is a way to like kind of get your head around it. It's just a matter of should they or shouldn't they? And I've always been the guy for a lot of years, like, yeah, they should keep going for it. Like the window's still there. I'm leaning a little bit more towards the shouldn't side. And I think you need to find the medium of Tampa kind of did it this year where they tried to be competitive, but they were also paying off some debt. I think you need to kind of find that medium. And the Saints were talking about it, and then the Derek Carr window opened and they kind of pushed all in a little bit. I bet they're going to do it again. But I don't know if they should.
I mean, if you're going to roll back with Carr and Allen, at least do some like fiscal housekeeping. Like I'm with you. At least be willing to start to chip away at some of those bills and just give you a little more traditional breathing room. What do you think about Sunday, man? Form of these two teams entering this game. I mean, I know with the Saints, it's a very mixed bag as to who exactly is going to show up. But if there's been, and granted, Pete Carmichael's actually gotten better here as of late, thanks to you, Nick, just telling coach he should run more play action. Like they've actually run more play action. It's been very funny to watch. But like Arthur Smith has pretty much by a country mile been the worst OC in the entire league this year. How you feeling about Sunday's matchup?
I honestly don't know. I mean, it's so tough to gauge anything with the Saints because I feel like I've gotten like every game wrong this year. Like every time I'm like, oh, they're going to get smoked, and then they go out and win like they did last week. I didn't think there was any way they were going to win that game, and then they did. Look, I think they're probably going to be without. I mean, they're going to have Marshawn, they're going to have Mike, they're going to have Ramczyk. I think there's probably a better chance that Alvin doesn't play than does play. But it really is kind of a day-to-day thing for him right now with his ankle. But if he doesn't play, like, I don't know how you run the ball at all. So I don't know. I mean, I would probably pick against him, but the Falcons stink too. So I don't know. I mean, it could go either way. If they show up with the heart they had this week, though, I mean, they got a chance of winning this game. And that was kind of the craziest thing to me is like just in the post-game locker room is just, how, like, man, I'm not gonna lie. There was a point like after they lost those 3 games in a row where I was preparing stories. Like I was sitting on like writing "this is the end" type stuff. And I got a whole folder of things, like stuff I was hearing, where it was going, and then they kind of fought their way out of it. And then that kind of felt like the pinnacle. And it wasn't really about the coaches, like it was about the players. Like, I wasn't quitting on this guy. We made sure we stayed together. We didn't let this become infectious, all that stuff. So, like, I think they're going to come out and play hard. I think they really want to make the playoffs. A guy like Chris Olave, like, he told me he's at 60% health, like, and he's, doing everything he can to play in these games because he wants to make the playoffs. So, I mean, they are still extremely bought in, even though a lot of us on the outside looking in are kind of like, man, like, this isn't worth it. I mean, they really believe it. So I think they're going to go out with full effort. They're going to be depleted. Logically, I'm going to say they're going to lose, but like I'm wrong every time. It seems like this year. So I would pick against what I'm saying and take the same.
Yeah, it's a little fade. I mean, and I hate that. And this is also a bit just because I've been so swept up in college football, but I do hate that I'm not really like giving just due to a gutsy performance. And I love the story about Tyrann Mathieu pumping up Alontae Taylor that Mike wrote about, where basically, Taylor's in his head after getting benched last week, and he needs the old salty vet and the leader to say, hey, man, like, go out there and be you. Do you. Go play cocky. Go play confident. And then he goes out there, he gets his first pick. The secondary is fantastic. And the leadership of Tyrann Mathieu still, even this long into his tenure, affecting wins and losses. So, like, there's something that should be honored there. It's just, it just, held against the blinding light of frustration. It gets kind of harder too. But I'm glad we at least mentioned it here. Nick, what's going on in neworleans.football this week, heading the final week of the year?
Yeah, man, we're just keep breaking everything down, trying to figure out what the hell is going on with this team. It's kind of looking towards the future a little bit, even though we're in the present. It's just such a weird time, man. That's what you said. It's just like there's stuff happening, but it just feels so over. It might not actually be over. It's just a bizarre place to be. I don't want to go through it again next year, but it'll probably be the same thing. But yeah, man, just ramping up, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. A breakdown of Derek Carr, of how he performs in perfect situations today, which I don't think actually exists long term. But yeah, we just kind of got everything you need to know heading into the final game.
Yeah, it's definitely the most, and I probably overuse this at times, but this is the most football purgatory that I've ever seen a team that I actively root for be in, where it is not heaven, it is not hell. You are floating in the in-between. So we'll see where we end up. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.